guys wonder why I hate women.
Secure the ballistics.
I might as well get something out of it, right?
My balls from getting bigger, you know.
Oh yeah, I did say I'll watch the P vid. Alright, they're lying. Here's the only honest 007 for a Slayer review. He's got the clickbait titles, you gotta give him that.
I had no idea this game was even coming out. When I heard a Bond game was developed by these same people who made Hitman, I decided to pick it up. Having now beaten it, I have to say that the discussion around 007 First Light is some of the most dishonest stuff I have seen on the internet in, well, I guess like 2 weeks. According to what I've read since I finished this game, either it is the greatest stealth action game ever made, or it is subversive propaganda designed to torment your soul. Neither of those things—
Okay, I mean it is though. Yeah, neither of those is true. I mean, yeah, maybe if you're retarded. I don't. We'll hear his argument. We'll totally hear his argument. I'm sure he'll defend Zoomer new male Bond who has no charisma and lets women dominate him the whole game. But he gets free pussy though. He gets free pussy for existing, so that's not subversive.
Things are true, so here's an honest take from someone who went into this game with zero expectations. I'll talk more about people's reaction to the game toward the end. First Light is basically a mixture of Watch Dogs, Uncharted, Sleeping Dogs, Hitman, and Splinter Cell, which I will admit—
Okay, that is way too generous. How about you name modern slop games, which it's more similar to than the things you said?
sounds kind of horrible to me, but more of it works than doesn't. I was pleasantly surprised that the gameplay isn't strictly stealth, but also doesn't lean too hard into run and gun either.
You gotta be kidding me. Alright, my slop montage, which exposed how shallow the gameplay is much better than these words that you're saying. No. No. The gameplay is liquid shit, except the shooting, which is acceptable.
It sits in a pleasant middle ground that feels true to the pacing of the Bond movies. Missions usually—
Yeah, a video game is true to the pacing of a movie. That says it all right there. That's a bad thing, you fucking know. It's true to the pacing of the movie. A video game is true to the pacing of the movies. Good shit. Good shit. This credit, it's a reputation lost. A reputation lost.
begin with a hybrid social and stealth section that builds up the tension along a crescendo that ultimately pays off with a huge over-the-top gun.
That, I'll give him that. Even though he's glazing it a little, that was probably the best part, was that sequence. That was the beginning of the second stream, the first hour of the second stream. That part was actually decent, but that was probably the only level in the game that had pretty good pacing.
Fight. The gunplay is really satisfying, and
are you fucking serious? The gunplay is really sad. Dude, this is a low bar. I mean, it was fine. Like, it was decent, I guess. What's with the glazing? This is, yeah, it takes 4 hours to get a gun, by the way, if you weren't here for these streams. 4 hours for you to shoot enemies in a James Bond video game. 4 hours. 4 hours.
Makes the sections where you do go all out and pop heads worthy of their place at the climax of the mission. The melee combat is deeper than it seems at first, and I can't—
No, it isn't. No, it is. Oh my god. Is this a shill-up review? Is this a shill-up review? The melee combat is deeper. It's literally just spam parry and then dodge when you're fighting one of the brute enemies that grabs all the time. That is how deep it is. There is no more deep than that.
Help but feel like it's a bit of a missed opportunity that the game doesn't really bother to teach you that there are combos that look way nicer than fighting like a high schooler. I only really—
That is kind of true. They threw up a tutorial for gut punches 2/3 of the way into the game, and it was never explained at any point. But there's no point. You don't need to gut punch. You jab, jab, shoulder bash. Jab, jab, shoulder bash. That's all you have to do the entire game, which I'm guessing he didn't figure that out.
Figured that out toward the end of the game. Regardless, it feels good and weighty, and the ability to throw random objects at people's heads is a nice touch. It wouldn't be Bond without the gadgets, and they are appropriately ridiculous here. I'm a big fan of the dart that makes people shit themselves, or the laser watch you can use to blind people so you can steal their money. The Q watch that is clear—
I mean, the thing is, like, the laser watch was the most fun part of the game, but I wouldn't say it was good. How is it a good thing that you laser someone in the eye, pickpocket them, or just walk past them and they forget anything happened? Someone literally shoots a laser into your eyeball and then you just go back to whatever you were doing? Like, in what universe? That's what fucking shovelware games do. That's what shovelware games do. How can you defend that?
Clearly a sponsorship deal, works pretty much exactly like hacking in Watch Dogs, where you can mess with the technology and the environment to cause people grievous bodily harm or just really annoy them. These social stealth mechanics are pretty nice, where you can just make shit up on the spot to excuse why you're in a place you should.
That's nice? What is this motherfucker? He compared the game to Splinter Cell, but have you played Splinter Cell or any other good stealth game for that matter? How is a mechanic that allows you to just say something retarded and then everyone just lets you go? How is that good? That is a get out of jail free card. I don't know how much this I'm going to watch because I do need to eat something. I barely ate anything today, but I'll watch some and then I'm going to end the stream to eat. I'm not going to play anything today because I don't give a fuck, man. I feel dead inside after so many bad game trailers. The thing is, this guy did have appropriate criticism for, like, woke type people. I can't even remember what the video was. I think it was on indie games. He was talking about indie games. He also made a video shitting on Spec Ops The Line that I think was pretty good. But it's true that he hasn't said, like, anything inherently overly chudly. So I'm not too surprised that he's enlightened centrist on this. But he's glazing very mediocre gameplay systems, and I don't know why.
Be, which is really just there to give you a chance to get back to playing British Splinter Cell.
Huh? You're in a restricted area.
Easy. I'm with HQ. Has Damien come through here? One of his guys is dead. Just found the body in the basement.
There were signs Pete wasn't a chud, him not caring about lore in the same way that leftists who watched and said he liked the Fallout I forgot. When did he say he liked the Fallout show? Maybe I never saw that video. Anyone who says they like the Fallout show can't be trusted, period. Absolutely not.
Shit, that's not good.
Because the Fallout show was liquid
I really
goy
do wish
slop.
we got more of this sort of stuff.
Like, that was
though.
pure
We only get the
distilled
opportunity to use Hitman-style disguises a couple of times throughout the whole game. Between the gadgets, the social stealth, and some of the complex interactions in the more open-ended segments, at certain points it definitely feels like the game is flirting with the idea of becoming an immersive sim along the lines of the newer Deus Ex game.
Okay, now he is becoming skill up. How the fuck is this an immersive sim? These parts are basically walking simulators. You walk to someone, you talk. You walk to the next area. It's exactly what I said in the review. Like this, there's no immersive sim in this. The most interactive environmental element of the game is you shoot lasers into a random person's eyes and then pickpocket them.
Games, but it definitely never commits to that fully. First Light is mixing together a lot of different styles of gameplay that don't seem like they would work together well on paper, but in practice mesh fairly well. There are still plenty of things I don't like about First Light's gameplay though, the most obvious being that the game can be aggressively handholdy. It has...
Yes, that's the whole game. That's the whole game. That was kind of the point of my slop intro. I didn't lean hard into the woke stuff for a reason, because honestly, as much as... You know, I obviously don't like the diversity shit and all that. My main beef with this game is that it's not a game. It really is just a fucking... This is... If Uncharted 1 was made today, this is what it would look like, right? It's not even a video game anymore. It's just a movie. There's no interactivity at all. It's just... This is... Again, the slop intro was basically just a compilation of how not a game it is.
AAA disease.
Think, James, think. Has to be something I can use.
Yeah? You have to find some way to hit him? What tipped you off, Bond? Was it the fact that he was trying to shoot you to death? The game suffers a terminal case of yellow paint, or in this case, blue paint and tarps. Everything that you can dangle from or interact with is aggressively...
And they have yellow ones too.
...labeled or color-coded, as though the developers are terrified of you trying to do something and failing, which is sort of a recurring theme here. The enemy AI is also hilariously buggy. I only ran into it a few times, but the few times that I saw them start running around in circles like a chicken with their head cut off were definitely notable. Granted, that will probably get fixed in a patch. I think that a lot of this is caused by the way that the game tries to divide lethal and non-lethal states, where Bond will, for some reason, only draw his gun when the NPCs show intent to kill.
They actually explain it in the story. That when I was going back through the cutscenes, Which, you know, the fact he doesn't know that proves that the game sucks, I would think, if you're not paying attention to the cutscenes when like 75% of the game is basically a cutscene. but they do explain it. In one of the early missions, they say you're not allowed to shoot unless they shoot back to you. I said that in the ESL way, but you get the point. They have to shoot at you first. You can only kill in self-defense. They say that in a mission.
If I really had one criticism to levy at this game, it would be the fact that it doesn't want the player to make mistakes, which is usually a core part of games with stealth elements. It's how you learn. I would pull some straight up stupid shit, and this game would just let me pass. I mean, it's like these dudes have seriously impaired vision.
The whole game's like that, though. The shooting's like that, too. Are you telling me he didn't notice when you stand up from cover, every enemy shoots at you at the same time, and then 100 bullets will whiz by your head and all of them miss? Like, it's literal stormtrooper shit.
This game ends up discouraging you from learning some of its more complex mechanics because it never lets you realize that you aren't using them to their fullest potential.
He is doing it! He is doing it! Look, he figured it out too. How can you say that there's any complexity when you could just punch shoulder bash? Oh my god, he did do it.
Potential. That's made worse by the fact that the game is too short. At least the game.
What? I know he said at least the game part, but dude, this was a torture session for me. It's 14 fucking hours. It's 14 fucking hours. Yeah, he's right. The gameplay's only like 4 hours tops. Maybe, probably more like 3 if we're really talking about actual gameplay. 3 hours out of 14. But it's... God.
Parts of it are. So you really only ever get to use some of these cool mechanics a handful of times. The investigation sections, which bear an unfortunate resemblance to the recent Not a Game masterpiece mixtape, where you walk around a room and interact with objects to learn what happened in the story, pads the length in a really, really big way. The story that is revealed in these sections is, in my opinion, pretty decent. It's just...
The story's pretty decent. Okay.
unfortunate that they take up such a comparatively large portion of the game's total runtime. Altogether, I wish this game had a lot more meat on its bones, so to speak. I enjoy what's there, I just wish that there was more of it. I enjoyed the way that this game was written.
I want to remind you, this is the guy who made like a whole video shitting on Spec Ops Line, why the story's bad, and he's praising like the most generic spy story ever created by humans. I'm just saying, like, it literally made a video dedicated to dunking on Spec Ops Line, and he was right. He was right. The story in this game is literally just like, okay, you can completely ignore the first 4 hours because they're irrelevant. It's just, okay, Bond becomes spy and wants revenge on whoever killed his buddies. You know, you think it's 009, turns out to be fucking Sir Nicholas, or at least the goons working for him. But that's the first 4 hours of story, just setting up his origin, which sucks, by the way. All of that's irrelevant. All of that's irrelevant. So cut out the first 4 hours of the game. The rest of the story is just, there's an AI supercomputer, and it's wrong sometimes, and we have to cover that up so that we can just fund the AI to be good. It's just literally real life. That's just real life. That's what's happening right now, and James Bond's got to stop it. That's like, there's nothing else to it. How's that a good story? There's actually, believe it or not, there's barely any plot developments after the Africa mission,
which surprised me. The dialogue in particular is a big step up over most recent video games.
The dialogue's a step up. He shows the marine biologist Rich talking about algae. The dialogue's a step up. What? Huh? What? How? Is this bait? Am I being baited? I feel like I'm being baited. I don't know. Well, there's another channel down the drain. In his Lore is Killing Video Games video, he said he would have liked the Fallout show more if he didn't play the games, just like that leftist who didn't care about Fallout lore. The thing is, Fallout... Normies noticed that the Fallout show sucks in Season 2, but Season 1 was just, like, the most, like, random Jewish shit happening the show. But the point is, that show was just a bunch of gross shit happening with a very loose plot tying it together. And also it was about a fucking lesbian. A lesbian from the past and psychotic white father who wants to nuke shit for no reason. It's like, okay, yeah, good story, dude. Like, I'm not even caring about Fallout at all. If I do not give a single fuck about Fallout, Fallout Season 1 is still dog shit. And so it's fuck off. Like, everyone, it's, fuck that. People was talking about liking Season 2. Well, Season 2 is even worse than Season 1, so yeah, that's not a good sign. I don't know. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. It's a shame because I think the couple of videos I reacted to on here were pretty good, but yeah, his taste in video games is pretty ass, and I guess his taste in stories is ass too, but oh well. Oh well. I bet his top 10 list doesn't even have any baby games in it. I bet. That's truly the sign of a soulless golem. Alright, I'll listen to a little bit more, then I'm gonna end the stream and eat.
It feels way more in line with that of one of the Bond movies. That being said, Bond has always been more than a little bit cheesy. The writing has always been quippy and a bit overly playful, which is something that has definitely been overdone by a lot of other franchises in recent years. But I think it's important to remember that the old Bond movies are kind of what started that before it was ruined. All in all, I found it significantly less grating than I do in most other games.
Yeah, but that was because he had no charisma. Like, yes, it didn't have millennial quips, really. I'll give you that. But Bond has no charisma in this game. Like, legitimately, he just... Dude, I don't even... He's nothing. He's a nothing character. They turned James Bond, you know, suave male power fantasy, you know, definitely the type of man every person wanted to be at the time, into just some random Zoomer kid. Like... How could you spin that as a good thing?
And the plot did not feel like it was some sort of deconstruction or subversion of Bond as a character or archetype.
Okay, maybe if you're retarded. I know I'm not making an argument right now, but the fact he's, I don't know, his noticing levels are way too low. He's got to step those numbers up. I'll say that much. Because I think there's plenty to notice in the intro with the black man constantly shitting on him, the Indian boss, you know, being condescending and kind of trying to be almost a mommy to him. Even Moneypenny talks a little bit of shit to him in this game. I gave up on finding the clip in particular, but there was, I forgot which part of the game, even she talks some shit. It's like, how is that not subversive? Like, everyone talking shit to Bond, like, that's not good enough for you? Maybe he just plugged his ears. Really, it was Greenway. Greenway, the black guy who's his mentor, that's the fucking dude who's pissing me off. Literally, almost every word out of his mouth until he dies is him shitting on Bond. It's like, what the It's not playful banter, which is, I know how this motherfucker would excuse it. It's not playful banter. Brits being cunts for no reason is not playful banter. They might think it is, but no, that's just, you know, being a love is what we call that here.
Definitely feels to me like it was written by people who enjoy the source material, and I think that their choice to tell the story of how Bond became 007 was a really good idea. And it helps set it apart from the other Bond stories where he already is the globe-trotting spy who is more akin to a superhero than a real person. The way this game chooses...
I gotta give this a dislike for that one. That's a straight-up dislike. Oh, really? You want to see another origin story? You want to see another origin story? How many fucking times have we seen a shitty subversive prequel that ruins a character? How many times have we seen that? Someone said to read his pinned comment. Throwing out 15 buzzwords about why a completely normal video game is morally repugnant and a major political issue is exactly what you guys make fun of the other side for doing. This is the same as when everything was called sexist in 2016. Okay, let's read the replies. Dude, don't you think anti-woke are just as bad as woke? Holy Reddit. Exactly! This is literally, it is literally the fucking meme. It is literally the meme with, like, the fucking soy boy being like, don't you think the other side is just as bad? Like, holy shit. Talk about missing the fucking point. No! Name a single right-wing video game. Go ahead. Name one. Yeah, how dare people notice the propaganda in video games? Okay. At least my Bond review is doing pretty well. 125k. That's pretty good. I'll take it. I'll take it. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Very tiresome. Never said that, and you're proving my point again. He's talking literally like a Redditor. This is the same as when they'd say go back to poll. Well, clearly you didn't learn anything while you were on poll. Clearly you weren't paying attention. One, the anti-woke crowd seems to be defending this game as not woke. The anti-woke crowd is made of centrists, so they would never claim this subversive. Two, the game isn't even mid gameplay-wise, just plain awful to play. 3, having POCs in MI6 with the current political situation in the UK is subversive. According to polling from the BBC from within this decade, over 70% of native-born British people want all immigrants deported. I also want to clarify that people are getting upset with you because it seems like you're being dishonest in this video. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to assume it's ignorance on everything but the gameplay, which I assume is just bad taste. Holy shit. Roasted. Absolutely roasted. All fucking true. Yeah, this guy didn't even know his audience. Yeah. Many such cases. How many times... Again, I don't want to keep bringing this up. Because I don't want to be a drama whore with this shit. I swear to God, I'm tired of drama. But I have noticed a lot of people courting the chuds, intentional or not, then being surprised when their audience has a bunch of chuds. It's like, dude, you're saying everything that the new right-wing people believe, and then you shit on the new right-wing people. Like, how do you not realize who you're even agreeing with? Like, what ideology you're spewing out of your mouth? You know, like, you don't even... It's just... How do you not have that awareness? That's what's confusing. When I'm weaker than you, I ask you for freedom because that is according to your principles. When I'm stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that is according to my principles. Using the tactics of one's enemies after you've won is what makes one morally repugnant, not during the war with them. To that point, I hope I'm getting you fired right now. Damn, okay. That a little, maybe a little serious, but I'll give it enough. Yeah. Yeah, I'll read this one too. It's only the same if it's in addition to buzzwords and political football. The full weight of the industry itself and media not only supports that position, but spends significant time, money, and resources to ensure that position is the one that is ubiquitous through all major releases. That has been the case for approximately the last 15 years, but it sure isn't both sides that have received the benefits of it. Yeah, I mean, that's the issue with this. Like, regardless of even if this was accurate, there's no support for our ideology in the game industry at all. Absolutely zero. So, again, for the enlightened centrists, maybe they're okay with this diet wokeness shit, but there's nothing for people like us who are tired of the diversity, tired of shitting on our heroes, tired of all these things. Like, another thing, does this review ever point out Bond has to be saved every time? He never saves himself with some goofy gadget. They even had such an obvious opportunity. When you kill the other albino twin guy, and you get knocked unconscious, you wake up, you're tied to the stone slab in the quarry, and there's the giant chainsaw about to chop you up. Would that not be the perfect chance for Bond to be like, wrist laser, and then he cuts the fucking the shit that's holding him to the slab, and then he punches the bad guy, and then he runs and escapes or something? That would have been literally the perfect opportunity. What happens? No, Greenway saves him. With a broken arm that's miraculously healed in one day, he's climbing around a quarry, sniping a million motherfuckers. Like, it's so stupid. It's so bad. It's so bad. The type of people that this guy's picturing in his head when he's saying, oh, this is the only honest review. He was obviously making this at the same time as mine because, you know, this came out almost 2 days ago. It says 1 day ago, but I think it was almost 2 days. Whereas my review came out, 3 or 4 days ago. So I'm sure he was already, deep into making this before my review came out. So I don't think it's in response to mine. So for some reason, he seems to think that there was this massive internet backlash against this game. As far as I know, just like that comment was saying, the anti-woke people support this game. Like, yeah, this right here. I'm pretty sure the anti-woke crowd likes this game. I didn't watch the video, but I think Arch at least addressed that this game was basically negotiating with wokeness. That seemed to be the purpose of the video. I didn't watch it, though, so I can't say what his actual opinion was. But the other general reception to the game seemed positive. Ironically, this turned out to be the most dishonest review I've seen so far. Holy shit. Yeah, people are not happy. They're not happy. Bond doesn't even smoke a cigarette. That's true. He only drinks like one time, too. I had to cut that. I mentioned, I've told you guys 2 or 3 times now, I had to cut some stuff before release for the video because the pacing was bad. And I did cut a section where I was showing a graph of like all the Bond movies where it's like number of kills, number of times Martini was drank, and number of women slept with or whatever, right? And it's like in this new game, even though Bond does sleep with women, like he doesn't drink or smoke or any of that shit because Gen Z doesn't do those things. So it's obvious they tried to make a Bond for the new generation was the point that I was going to bring up. This game story and how they treat Bond is basically a preview of the upcoming movies. I'm assuming he means that in a negative way, but obviously Peep does not agree. Great fence sit at the beginning there. It's like you had to put on the pattern recognition blockers to not admit there was something off about the game when it's revealed. Yeah. If you're going to blame someone, blame Ian Fleming. This game is just following his example. Well, actually, Chud, James Bond was always woke. What is this pathetic woke Reddit revisionism? This is so dishonest. You've completely lost the plot if you can't tell the difference between Pierce Brosnan and this modern AAA mess. Based, agree. Baby's first Hitman with 20% actual gameplay. Yep. It's really impressive how you managed to make a 30-minute review feel like 3 hours. They really should. The problem is if I watch the rest of this, I'm not going to be able to fucking eat because I'm going to have to pause to respond every 2 seconds because, like, this, I'd say SyntheticMan's view is far more accurate and spot on this. Thanks, Chud. Appreciate it. Yeah, this video's garbage. Pack it up. Alright. Maybe I'll listen to a little bit more, but the problem is there's so many bad companions combined together. Like, I was hoping it would just be the woke part, but he said the gameplay was pretty good, and it's like, the kindest I can be to this game is the shooting. I think the shooting is okay, but even that, he was like glazing like crazy.
Tell its story helps to bridge that gap. If you really want to avoid any spoilers at all, you can skip to the next chapter, but otherwise, I'm going to do a surface-level run-through of the plot for you. The game begins with Bond as a—
I know you said you don't care for him, but Fleek is those videos unironically better than this in only 6 minutes. Let me get some water. I'm gonna be right back. Okay. I now that I've eaten, I won't be as mad, but I'll try not to respond every 2 seconds to stuff, but it just feels like I'm probably gonna be disagreeing with 80% of what he has to say, so you know, I'll keep it cool.
A crewman aboard a Royal Navy helicopter that, as most helicopters in Bond movies do, crashes. Water symbolizes
That's like every movie though. This isn't me disagreeing. This is an observation. In media, helicopters always crash.
Rebirth for a minute until Bond decides to live. As the sole survivor of the crash, he successfully evades capture.
I noticed he skipped the yellow paint that happens 1 second after you get up.
Completes the mission that was originally meant for about 25 SAS men, and defies orders so that he can save the hostages against all odds.
Listen carefully. You have less than 1% chance of success.
Another thing. I had a line originally to point this out directly, but because I mentioned diversity twice in the video anyway, I forgot to like place it back in. But isn't it hilarious? This is what MI6 is. Like, this is who he's rescuing. We thought these were researchers. I remember when I was streaming it, but then when they talk, it says MI6 whatever. These are MI6 members who got captured by random Slavs because they're Browns. The fucking... In a way, it's kind of owning the diversity shit that these guys all got captured by the Montenegrin terrorist group.
Hostages against all odds.
Listen carefully. You have less than 1% chance of success. Now stand down.
I'll take those odds.
Bond.
I like the fact that Bond is set up as a traditional hero from the very beginning, and the only real special thing about him is that he has the brass balls to do what others say he cannot. His bravery leads to him being recruited as a candidate for MI6's 00 program that has recently been resumed by M, the new head of MI6. Here we meet Moneypenny, the diverse Cortana to Bond's scrawny Master Chief. She reveals that MI6 handles most of its work with the help of a quantum supercomputer AI called Thea, which is the thing that calculated the odds of Bond's success in Iceland. Bond is sent to training and selection in Malta, where he meets Cressida and Monroe, two other 00 candidates.
I literally don't say their names in the video because it doesn't matter, which was the point. I would not be shocked. Like, let's say hypothetically someone makes like a debunking of my video, some like autist leftist type. Like, he didn't even bother to look at the names. It's like, no, I purposely don't say these two names. In fact, I refer to her as his girlfriend. I don't even... And yes, that was also on purpose, by the way. The chuds probably know. I purposely devalued her character to the point of just calling her that guy's girlfriend. Yes, that was on purpose. Anyway, because they, like I said before I went to go eat dinner, this entire part of the plot has nothing to do with the plot afterward. It doesn't tie in at all. That's why I said it feels like it was AI written, because like a well-written plot would have had the Montenegro terrorists tie into Sir Nicholas somehow, right? Like, that entire intro mission that James Bond does to prove he's worthy of joining MI6 has nothing to do with the rest of the plot at all. And yeah, you could say, if we're talking about realism, of course, that would have nothing to do with the other thing, but we're talking about writing a good story that's satisfying from a narrative perspective. Having the first 4 hours of your movie video game have almost nothing to do with the rest. I mean, yes, they name dropped Thea, the AI. Yes, 009 ties into Sir Nicholas, obviously, but that's it. Those are the only two plot threads. Every other minute that's spent in this entire training sequence has nothing to do with the other 10 hours of the game afterward.
That initially start off as cold competition, but soon wind up as Bond's closest friends. The fact that the game actually shows Bond winning these people over by proving himself was a good bit of show don't tell that most video games don't bother with. The same goes for how, over the course of the training section...
Okay, hold on, let me rewind. That was a bad time to drink coffee.
The fact that the game actually shows Bond winning these people over by proving himself was a good bit of show don't tell that most video games don't bother with.
Except that none of the gameplay part matters at all. It's a complete movie game. Your performance in the training does nothing. There's one part where they literally say you have only 30 seconds to complete this test, and if you take more than 30, nothing happens. It moves on to the next part. This is the problem when you're analyzing this from like the movie perspective instead of the game perspective. As a game, this entire part is shit. It's a super long tutorial that barely teaches you anything about how to actually play the game. Like putting the part near the end that's supposed to be the final test where you sneak in and steal the flag, that could have been the whole training sequence. Just make that part 3 times as long, slowly introduce you to mechanics that you're going to use in the game, and boom, improve by tenfold. Now, would it make for a better narrative? Maybe not. Maybe not. But as a video game, absolutely would make it better.
The same goes for how, over the course of the training section, you, the player, get access to more mechanics. Like when Bond gets thrown into the sparring ring without any training, and both you and Bond only know how to fight like a high school student. It's simple, but this really helps to make it feel more like he is earning his status as a super spy, and not just a superhuman being handed everything because this is a video game. It makes the character feel more believable. It allows his relationships to grow organically in a way where Bond is shown to be genuinely charismatic.
But he's not charismatic. There's no person who would observe this guy's dialogue and body language and say he has charisma. Like, I don't want to slander Peeb too hard here, but thinking this Bond has charisma is the equivalent of a woman thinking a guy is charming because he's 6'5". Like, that's literally the same shit. He doesn't do anything that, you know, convinces us he has any charisma at all. He just says words.
We are just told that he's cool, which is what seems to happen in like every game ever.
Being saved by everyone is earning his status. Well, the thing is, conceptually, what he's saying is correct, but the way it's handled in the game is not what he's selling it as. Like, the training sequence, you're not actually developing skills as a player. Maybe if this is your first video game ever, it might slightly help you. But all it is like target test, walk from point A to point B, drive in a circle. Maybe you could argue the Batman fighting part a little bit. That one's probably the least bad. But all the other training sequences have nothing to do with the actual skills you'll need to play the game. Because one, you need no skill to play this game. It's a baby game. But also, two, I would say, like, the mechanics you get access to later are usually more powerful anyway. Like the bluffing thing isn't really part of this sequence. Like, they have a cutscene with a lie detector. Maybe that's supposed to be narratively setting up your video game ability to be charismatic. But what actually happens is, at the end of the training sequence, you just get the ability to bluff people. It just gives it to you, and it has nothing to do with the training, when that's one of your most powerful abilities.
Just can't help yourself, can you? I, for one, won't be sorry when you're gone.
Sir, this is on me. I decided to take the sparring outside of the ring.
The same goes for Bond's relationship with Greenway, the bitter former 00 agent who runs the
better not
selection
praise
process.
this.
He has a proper arc, and his relation.
Okay, he's just lying now. What are you talking about? He has a proper arc. Greenway shits on you the entire game until he dies. I'm not kidding. Play back every scene where he talks. He's shitting on you up until, like, the very gameplay sequence before he dies. That's not an arc. That's not an arc. What is he talking about?
Relationship with Bond changes drastically over the course of this game, but that comes later. Anyway, with training complete, the gang moves into their apartment where we get a bit of backstory on their upbringing. Cressida grew up rich as the daughter of the UK's foreign secretary, and Monroe grew up trying.
Dude, I guarantee he had to rewatch the story to know that happened. That's always the problem with this stuff. Sometimes, I'll be honest, there was a certain point where I decided being as fair as possible to a game was not important, you know? Like, you could say maybe that makes my reviews a little more dishonest, but to me it's the opposite, where it's like, if I have to read the Wikipedia page to know all the characters' names and to know all their details, who does that serve? That serves, like, the Redditors who want to gotcha me that I didn't remember the name of the characters or what their plot purpose was. Like none of that matters. Like, and I'll be honest, I think the turning point for this, I know I keep bringing this up, even though it was almost 4 years ago. The turning point for this was the God of War Ragnarok review, where it's like, that game was so unbelievably boring for me that I got, major plot details wrong in my recollection because I couldn't remember any of the fucking game. I had just played it, and I barely remembered the fucking story, which should be a perfect showcase of how bad it is, right? But I kind of half-assed looking into some details, still got some shit wrong because, like, I was so tired of that shit. I rushed out that video a little too fast as part of it too, but my point is, ever since then, I've gradually come to the conclusion that it's more important to just give you my assessment directly from playing the game, and if it's important, like, I did look up, I looked back through the footage during editing and corrected a couple things, but you'll notice even in the parts I correct in the video, like, near the end of the video for this game, I say, oh yeah, and Damien is here to steal the Thea AI core. I completely fucking forgot, Like, I make it apparent, I genuinely just did not remember that was even a thing, because the story is so forgettable, right? That's kind of the point. I refuse to believe that Peeb remembered not only Cressida's name, but also her family association. This is a part of the game that, again, becomes literally irrelevant 2 missions after this, right? Because she gets crippled, like, the dude dies, Monroe dies, Cressida gets crippled, they disappear from the plot and never show up again. 4 hours in. That's only a third of the way into the game. Technically less than a third. And they never show up again.
Trying to follow in the footsteps of his badass SAS grandfather. Opposites attract, and Monroe and Cressida wind.
I said the Finnish twins are German. Are they actually Finnish? But they're white. You guys told me Finns aren't white. And those guys were albino white. I'm sorry. I would stop doing a bit. Bringing up what we were talking about earlier. If you weren't here for when everyone in chat was arguing about what ethnicity Finns are, that might make no sense to you. What I just said. Me, I was stoking the fires of when everyone was shouting at each other. Anyway, I have no idea what they were. I called them Germans because every movie has evil Germans. So if there are Finns, I apologize.
Up together while Bond prefers to just love him and leave him. One night, the gang goes out to a club, and what is initially shaping up to be an average Monday evening in Liverpool quickly turns into an MI6 test, when the gang is ordered to track down someone who has been leaking state secrets who is also at the club. Bond mistakes a bad bitch for the contact he's supposed.
He's just summarizing the game smugly. Yeah, like, the thing is, I'm not going to say... Like, I'm not going to judge him for this shit because I'm guilty of this, at least my TV show reviews as well. But I try to provide commentary after each major plot point because someone just reading off a plot summary gets really boring. Especially if, you know, no one watching this actually cares what the plot of the game was, right? Like, even if you liked this game, I don't think you cared what the plot of the game was. So, you have to at least break up your plot summary with tangents. That's what I've learned. That's the number one. You want to know the number one way I've improved a style of video is my over hour long reviews. The first one I made, I believe, was the Elden Ring one. That video sucks. I mean, like, I obviously said the game was overrated based, you know, blah blah blah. But the actual video is not good. That's not a good video. But now, how I've learned to do these things is, like, you can easily make an hour-long video as long as you make sure you don't ramble onto a single subject for more than 10 minutes tops. You just move. You're like, okay, we're talking about story. Now we're talking about the gunplay. Now we're talking about the story again. Now we're talking about the melee combat. Now we're back to the story. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you can do over hour-long videos, and you don't get, like, extremely bored.
To meet with and is
improved. You don't even watch my videos. No profile pic. I know you're baiting because you're no profile pic. You're baiting.
Animal magnetism causes her to hunt him down for the rest of the evening. He continues on his mission, only for his complete and total inability to refuse an attractive woman to cause a domino effect that ultimately results in her barging in and causing a scene right when he is about to complete the...
What happens if you refuse her, I wonder? I don't know. Probably nothing different. Let's be honest. Go here, press button, go there, eavesdrop, shallow stealth time, shallow melee time, mid-shooting, end. That's the whole gameplay of this movie game. Yes, exactly. That is the gameplay loop. Synth beat the fuck out by no profile pic Chad.
Things task.
Call him.
Who's this?
Oh, Christ. Could we not do this?
You prefer her to me? Please. I'm leaving.
Bond narrowly salvages the situation, only to get jumped by the baddie's jealous boyfriend when he tries to leave. This massive display of testosterone causes Bond to miss the scheduled extraction, and the cadre is, needless to say, on.
Okay, now I can see why people are saying this is dishonest. It's not a massive display of testosterone to defend yourself, unless he was being ironic. I can't even tell. Maybe he was being sarcastic, and he meant it wasn't a display of testosterone. Yeah, the boyfriend who was mad that his girlfriend was going to cheat on him openly twice does try to fight you, I guess. That is a thing that happens. But I wouldn't say it was a display of testosterone.
Happy.
You're late.
I'd say there's still time for a pint. Back in? First round on me?
Now, it's time for the first real mission. The gang sets off to Slovakia.
This is, I know I'm providing my personal commentary. This isn't even me debating a point, but I want to remind you this is 3 hours in. He said, now it's time for the first real mission. This was 3 hours into the game.
Czechoslovakia, where they are to meet with 009, one of Greenway's former colleagues who is believed to be a traitor. Because of what happened at the club, Bond is given the unceremonious task of playing the chauffeur. This way, his rugged good looks will not compromise the mission. Meanwhile, everyone else gets to do the cool super spy shit. Bond, once again having a set of brass balls, sees a blonde dude acting mad suspicious and decides to say fuck it and ignore his orders. Everyone is so focused on doing everything by the book.
Why am I not surprised?
Kingsley, you can keep a secret, can't you?
Don't bother. I'm reporting you right here and now.
See, I actually was very tempted to post this during the part where I say something like everyone is disrespectful to Bond. Yes, I mean fucking everyone. It's just like, why is this even necessary? This random black woman who he didn't even have one full conversation with in the gameplay leading up to this point, who we basically only see in the background of the other MI6 trainees, is just like talking shit like they know each other. They didn't even build up this chick at all. Like, I had no fucking clue even who this was, really. She's in the background of the club scene, in the club level. That's about it.
And, not making a mistake, that they don't listen to Bond, who has successfully begun to...
Yeah, I had this in the background, but I didn't actually play the clip, is what I'm saying. Yeah, I had a clip of that as the B-roll, but I didn't play the clip, you know what I mean?
unravel the fact that they are all in serious danger despite getting brutally frame-mugged. Bond finds a bomb, but, without the help of the others, is unable to stop it in time. This leads to the death of his best bud Monroe, and to Cressida becoming paralyzed. I like the twist here. The game flirts with making you believe you're about to get tutorialized more, or even chided, but then quickly reminds you that you are James fucking Bond, and you are the hero of this story. I was really
okay. I don't yeah. This reminds me of, that's why I said this reminds me of a skill up review, where it just feels like, okay, it's been 2 or 3 minutes, time to praise a random thing. Okay, I guess, I don't know. To me, I think it's obviously bad storytelling that you introduce all of these characters and then you just throw them in the trash a quarter of the way into the game. Like, why'd you waste my time introducing me to these people and then kill them off, not even in a very dramatic way? Because Monroe dies off screen. He got stabbed off screen by the Finnish twins, I guess. I don't know if that dude was baiting or not, if they're Finnish, but that is funny, if true.
not expecting these characters to get taken out of the action so soon, but the game did a good enough job of setting them up to make you care a bit when it happens. Now,
why do people keep saying they are? Did you guys actually play the game? Maybe you did. I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't have. Was it during the streams at some point? I didn't see it.
Greenway in Mauritania to hunt down 009, who they believe is responsible for the bombing. The first part of this mission is basically an open-ended black market spy carnival where you have to make 100 grand by any means necessary.
They were Finnish because the text box says it's speaking Finnish. Maybe it did say that. I don't fucking know. Did they ever talk? I don't even remember them talking. I guess they did talk a couple times.
Definitely one of the highlights of this game conceptually, but a little strange that everyone has about $3,500 in their pocket. I made my money by shining a laser pointer in people's eyes, pickpocketing them, and then...
The game said directly they were known to Finnish intelligence. When all of us were bored out of our fucking mind, not even looking at the screen, there's random guys who are actually watching? Damn. This is what I'm saying. Like, what? I think of, people tell me all the time, they're like, how do you torture yourself playing these games? It's like, well, half the time I turn my brain off, but there's people actually watching. Those are the real, you guys think I'm torturing myself? I'm getting paid to do this. There's people making $0 watching and reading the Finnish spoken subtitles. I don't know. I'm blown away. If I even knew that, I would pretend not to. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised so many people here knew that without looking it up.
Gambling with it. Over the course of this mission, we get to see Greenway begin to develop some genuine respect for Bond after he repeatedly shows himself to be the only member of MI6 with a fully developed frontal lobe.
I'm really not interested in going sightseeing in the arsehole of nowhere.
Only you would have made the connection.
Dude, every time Greenway talks, it's bitching at Bond. Like, if anything, this made my point better in the video than I did. Like, think about every single time Peeb has played a clip from the game and it's Greenway talking, it's him bitching at Bond every time. Like, surely I'm not the only one noticing this, right?
Operation Spyglass. Dead as he is, he's telling us something.
In true Bond fashion, the antagonists in this game stop their dramatic execution to have a conversation periodically.
Lower there.
I'm not gonna talk about how gay and unfitting Lenny Kravitz is in the role of like an evil African warlord, because I feel like that would stand out to anyone who's being honest.
Papa, we're MI6. You've been harboring a terrorist wanted for high treason.
Which is nice because this buys Bond enough time to wake up Greenway so that he can emotionally torment the Pirate King.
What? Did he really just say emotionally? You're spinning it as a good thing that Bond couldn't save himself and Greenway. He had to wake up Greenway to save them both by just saying the name of Lenny Kravitz's fucking sister. There's no universe you can defend this as a good scene. This is dog shit. What are you talking about?
Having talked their way out of death by alligator, Greenway and Bond discover that 009 was actually innocent. They are ambushed, sponsored by Land Rover, and then blown up by a dude.
This Peeb Man Lives video is great. The game really understood the assignment.
In a golden Roman mask. The pair escape, but the evidence is destroyed. The British bureaucracy doesn't give a shit. M tells them to fuck off, and Bond goes home to nearly get suicided.
It may concern. They're gone because of my mistakes. I could have stopped it, but I failed. It should have been me.
Again, I don't want to be just the chronic shit talker. I'm feeling like EFAB right now, unironically, but I feel like when you just leave in random ass clips like this that don't add anything, you're basically pulling like the G-Man or Skill Up playbook where you need to pad the video to a certain length, but you don't actually have that much substantive to say. So you just play random clips from the game. Like, yeah, I get what you mean. You didn't actually have to play the clip of him reading the note.
James Bond. Well, this can't be good.
He once again gets brutally mogged by the same would-be assassin that he met in Slovakia, which leads him to a tech billionaire's event at a museum. This is the same tech billionaire who created MI6's AI. Somewhere along the way, Bond impales the assassin, learns that...
You know what's funny? That's also a plot point I didn't mention, but it also is just... like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, yes, it does tie into the plot. You could say my review is being dishonest because this is kind of a relevant plot point to a later part. But yeah, the fucking Sir Nicholas motherfucker, he was, even though MI6 should be, obviously, you would think would be funded by the government and not by random tech billionaires. He, like, basically Jeff Bezos style is just like, yeah, if you investigate this shit anymore, we're pulling your funding. And that's why Bond goes rogue before the second last mission. That is true. I forgot to mention that in the plot thing, but I also didn't care, you know. It's one of those things you have to remember. You don't watch my reviews for like the 100% accurate plot retelling. It's more like the whole point of that part was more me just commentating on the flow of the game, like the pacing and shit. But I probably should have mentioned that, to be fair. I'll concede I should have mentioned that, but yeah.
Billionaire who created MI6's AI. Somewhere along the way, Bond impales the assassin, learns that the billionaire, Nicholas Webb, is behind the bombing in Slovakia, meets a bad bitch, and gets roofied. Bond discovers that it was actually the billionaire's creepy son Damien who was behind the bombing, and also wearing the cool golden mask, so he escapes to stop Greenway from getting assassinated.
He didn't even... Does he really not mention Damien doing the gay feeling up the tie thing? Bro, how could you not? How could you not? Were you falling asleep during that scene?
The pair break into Webb's corporate office.
You cannot just fucking skim over that. You cannot skim over that. Where he's like, Daddy, Daddy, Are you serious? No, come on.
Make a guy shit himself, run into the same baddie from the museum, find out that Webb is a massive nerd, and learn the dark secret that the AI MI6 uses, and that Webb created, is exactly like AI in real life, in the way that it totally sucks. Webb has been sending his creepy son who likes to play soldier around the world to stage scenes and silence witnesses whenever the AI makes a mistake, even down to how 009 was framed as a traitor because of the AI's error, which makes Greenway feel like a really shitty friend for not looking into that one a little bit further. Webb monologues, tries to gas Bond and Green.
Okay, so this literally is a plot synopsis then. Why wouldn't you... Okay. why wouldn't you take the time to at least step aside, explain what the very obvious messaging here is of the plot, that yes, Thea is meant to represent our real life AI, that the AI makes mistakes, and then these mega corporations and shit and governments throwing trillions of dollars toward it just cover up for the mistakes of the AI because they keep iterating, throwing all this training data, perfecting so they can replace the human race type of shit. The funny thing is, the game doesn't even do the replace the human race angle. I think one time it mentions, like, as a joke that they're going to replace MI6 because, like, they will just somehow prevent all crime. They don't even explain how the AI works, by the way. That was something I said in the review. But they don't explain how Thea works. They just say this is a quantum computer and it reduces crime somehow. Like, what you can't do that. You can't do that. Maybe the notes say it, maybe the notes. I'm not reading fucking notes. I said it back in the Star Wars Outlaws review. I don't read notes anymore. Explain it in the plot. In the plot, they do not say that the fucking supercomputer shit, like how it works. They're just like, oh yeah, well, it makes mistakes. Duh. Even a non-AI supercomputer computers make mistakes, period. But it's obvious the commentary is specifically about AI bad. But they don't even really go into it. They really don't go into it. We're just supposed to accept Sir Nicholas bad. He's the bad guy. How's that good writing? This guy said the story's good.
Greenway fails, the pair escape in a helicopter, and the previously stoic Greenway resolves to go drink himself to death after realizing that everything he's done for the last decade or so has been a lie. The bureaucrats at MI6 are, needless to say, not happy that it looks like 2 of their agents went rogue and attacked one of the most important men in the country, so they send Bond on a Hail Mary undercover mission to Vietnam to try to catch Damien in the act of staging a scene to cover up the AI's failure. Bond needs to plant a tracking device on 3 of Damien's potential targets, one of which is a bad bitch. So he plants more than just a trap.
You know what's funny? Like, I skimmed over this on purpose. This wasn't a mistake in the review. But this mission, even in context, I feel like doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, so the setup, this is what he skipped. The setup to the Vietnam mission is that they find out there's this extinctionist chud who's been killing eco-scientists. Unironically, that's a thing that exists in this universe. Some random chud who's killing eco-scientists. Yeah, not corporations or governments. It's just a guy. And so, but as it turns out, he's been dead for months because Thea's been fucking up, and they're trying to cover up the fuck up by going to Vietnam, and I think what it was is Thea thought these people were dead or something. So Damien's going there to kill them so the AI isn't wrong. Something like that. And so you have to place these biochip trackers in these 3 people. And that's like the mission. I don't know, dude. Like, technically, I guess it makes sense. But when you say it out loud, you're like, this doesn't feel like a real plot written by a human. This really does sound like AI generated, doesn't it? It's just bizarre. Yeah, interesting time to pause the video.
Tracker on her and cucks Moneypenny.
Audio. James. Still on.
While Bond is in the process of learning how to tie a bow tie, Damien shows up, kidnaps Bond's new girl, and...
That was a humiliation ritual. And this right here. This is a humiliation ritual. He says humiliate... I know, you guys saw the video. I'm just repeating the video. But he literally says humiliation. I'm like, they're lampshading it. It's a humiliation ritual.
Bond is in the process of learning how to tie a bow tie. Damien shows up, kidnaps Bond's new girl, and so Bond kills the guy who tried to suicide him's twin brother. Bond wakes up in a quarry where Damien resolves to saw him in half penis first, but in true Bond villain fashion, he will pause the saw periodically to chat with Bond and reveal a piece of critical information.
Nice try, James. Really. But you'll never defeat my father. Hyperion will see to that.
Charisma really is king. Bond is saved at the last
Okay.
Moment by Greenway, who has decided that he likes killing people more than he likes drinking himself to death. Greenway is shot, but it's not like...
Yeah, again, let's not point out Bond got saved there for like the 4th time in the game, 3rd or 4th, and he gets saved again at the end. Actually gets saved twice more after this part, both by a woman.
Threatening, so Bond goes to face Damien. Damien reveals that he's really into, like, biohacking and nootropics, and just injects modafinil right into his neck like a psycho.
What's that? A little liquid courage for what happens next. What then?
I feel like this guy was watching G-Man Lives videos before he made this. Like, the random, again, like, the random clips from the game to pad out the length. Like, what am I getting from this?
Oh no. This is so much more.
He's becoming a synthetic man.
Compound.
Synthetic compound, synthetic bit.
It floods the endocrine system, elevating physical and mental awareness.
So Bond stabs him in the eyeball with a needle.
It's been fun, but I'm gonna have to break this off.
And then drops a bunch of clearly marked climbable pipes onto Damien.
You haven't had the punchline yet.
And then he survives it somehow.
Bond returns to MI6, and rather than being hailed as a hero for figuring out what the hell is going on when everyone else was too busy being an idiot, he finds M completely giving up because Webb is blackmailing MI6 with metaphorical pictures of their collective assholes. She tells Bond that that's life, the world's not fair, but Bond is based in...
Yeah, and I just skimmed over this because who fucking cares?
Bond steals a bunch of equipment and calls up the baddie he kept running into from before. The pair infiltrate Webb's secret Antarctic facility where he learns 2 things. One is that M completely sold him out because she is a ruthless politician and a total piece of shit.
I honestly didn't. Hold on, let me replay that. I don't even remember this.
From before. The pair infiltrate Webb's secret Antarctic facility where he learns 2 things. One is that M completely sold him out because she is a ruthless politician and a total piece of shit.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember that being a plot point, but I guess it wasn't that important.
And 2 is that Webb hates the idea of individuality and is a typical transhumanist midwit billionaire type who thinks that man can become God through machine. The dude that Bond and Greenway made shit himself a few levels ago is so pissed that he sends robots to kill Bond, and Bond ultimately confronts Webb in his super AI chamber. Webb informs Bond that he has a dead man switch, John McAfee style, and Bond's baddie shoots him anyway and steals the core because she was really only in it for herself. Bond chases her out onto the ice, she calls him a pussy, he says nuh-uh, and destroys the super science machine, and her ride leaves. In a typical feat of governmental incompetence, MI6 locks both Bond and the baddie up.
This shit, no, you can't just excuse this as governmental incompetence. The way this scene is framed, this was just objectively bad writing. Is that it seems like they're setting up the twist that Bond is going to reveal, oh, I wasn't a rogue agent the whole time, I was just pretending, and then calls up MI6, arrests her, roll credits. But no, he gets arrested too, which, like, it just doesn't even fucking make sense, really. But I guess if you just say governmental incompetence, suddenly it makes sense. And then Damien is there, I guess. Somehow he amassed an army or some shit, which, you know, I guess with Daddy's money. Daddy's buddy, Daddy. Because he's like, you know, billionaire or whatever, so. Hires a bunch of mercs, somehow breaks into MI6, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Once again, the bureaucracy pays for its mistake, as MI6 is under attack. The pair escape, split up, and Bond ultimately finds that it was Damien who survived the whole needle in the eye routine that's behind all of this. Damien stabs Moneypenny just because he thinks that's funny, and the pair engage in a bit of homoerotic wrestling, and Bond attempts to drown them both. Water, once again, symbolizes rebirth, until Bond is saved at the very last moment by his unfaithful baddie, who pulls him out, gives him a smooch, and sets herself up as a...
Yeah, isn't that awesome? He gets saved by a woman. James Bond gets saved by a woman twice in the game. Actually, 3 times. He gets saved when he's captured by Damien at the Gale event, saved when Sir Nicholas has him at gunpoint, and saved right at the end after him and Damien almost drown. James Bond saved by a woman 3 fucking times in the story. 3 times!
a secondary antagonist in the next game by stealing the AI's core. This drives home the central theme of this game: trust no thought. In the end, that is how he earns the number 007. Honestly, I know I deliberately kept bits of my summary glib and vague so that I don't completely ruin the game for you, but in actuality, it's a pretty good Bond story. It's right at home with the movies, and it walks that line between campy over-the-top spy drama and—
What is this gameplay? You guys... He said the shooting was good, and he's just like right click, left click, right click, left click. You just like pop in, out, in, out, in, out.
Interesting story with reasonable enough stakes, very well. I like that the AI isn't some malicious Skynet sort of thing. It's just like real AI, as in not as good as the people.
I mean, I'm not saying this is inherently bad, but the type of cover-based shooting where it is just peek in and out, peek in and out, peek in and out, that's bad. That's not good. That's the worst of cover-based shooting.
People behind it say that it is. This is even foreshadowed in the very beginning of the game when the AI calculates that Bond has basically zero chance of saving the hostages, but he ends up succeeding. It's cool because at the time—
Well, because the setup you think is just James Bond's that good, but the punchline is actually the AI was wrong anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, good writing. Can you spin that as good? Let's hear. It
makes it seem like Bond really did pull off the impossible when, no, you can also read it as Bond ignoring the AI's error. What actually makes—
How is that good, though? That's what I'm saying. Like, it devalues his accomplishment because it turns out the AI was just bugging out anyway. Like, it makes it seem like, no, he's that badass, which is why he's invited to join MI6. But in reality, it's the AI sucks.
Bond remarkable here is that he is the only one who doesn't give a shit what the AI's statistical odds say, and he instead thinks for himself and trusts his gut. I also like that you never—
Okay, I will say this. As much as I've disagreed with about 90% of this, you could say it's good that at least Bond, as the white guy, is right in the end. That part is true. But I think most of the rest of the stuff is subversive in nature, especially him getting saved and shit on by women and minorities the entire game. That's very subversive.
I like that the main villain, Webb, is a self-important nerd who thinks that he is intelligent enough to grasp why things that are obviously terrible are actually good, which is pretty prescient. I even like how you can find out that he hates the great man—
You know what's funny? I actually kind of disagree with this. Like, the villain doesn't even seem evil. It's only because we have the context of real life that we know he's evil, but in a fictional setting where we don't have the context of reality, what evil does this guy actually do? Like, of course you're going to cover up what he says is objectively correct, that because everything is anti-AI, every time the AI fucks up, it would be world news headlines everywhere. So of course, he's incentivized to cover up the AI so that they can continue to perfect it, so eventually it can achieve whatever utopia with no crime that hypothetically he wants. As far as we know, without reading notes, because who the fuck reads notes, that's what his motivation is.
All in all, the story is about thinking for yourself and taking responsibility for your actions, which is pleasantly universal and reasonable for a video game story, instead of being about some contemporary—
I don't even know about that. Is that really what it's about? Taking responsibility for your actions? Maybe my media literacy license is expired, but that's not really what I took away from that. That seems like a stretch. Like, you're trying to give the game a theme. I guess we'll go with take responsibility for your actions. To me, it didn't feel like there's much of a message to take away from it at all.
That's pretty much every Bond story ever, which is why the way that people react to this game on both sides is so strange to me. On one side, I see a ton of people online calling this game woke and saying that it's shoving left-wing ideological shit down your throat. I don't think most of those people have played the game, and even if they did, they're definitely selectively remembering it. The conversation—
Selectively remember? It just came out. How can you selectively remember something? What are you talking about? Just say you disagree, that you don't care about diversity, you don't care that the white male protagonist gets shit on and saved constantly. You don't care that this Bond has no charisma. No, he doesn't.
You motherfucker.
He does not have charisma. Are you a Tismo? He's about as charismatic as clavicular. Right? That's what I was thinking about, actually. When I was saying the equivalent, like, he's charismatic the same way a woman thinks every 6'5" man is charismatic. He has about as much charisma as fucking Tismo clavicular. No. No, he has no fucking charisma at all. Fucking listen to his lines when he's talking to the marine biologist bitch. She's the one leading the whole time. He's like barely responding. This bitch is coming all, not literally coming, is coming on to him, you know, like super hard, and he's just like, yeah, I like you. You're hot.
Patient seems to revolve around the fact that Bond seems to be incompetent and is constantly being corrected and told what to do or getting humiliated. If that's your problem with this game, then that's probably just your problem with the Bond stories in general.
How long did you say the fuse was? Oh, grow up, 007. They all said the pen was mightier than the sword.
Thanks to me, they were right.
In pretty much
And the pen gun is mightier than the sword gun. That's an American Dad too. Stupid. Anyway.
Every single one of the movies, he succeeds partially by accident, everyone doubts him, he finds himself in a humiliating situation like getting his balls paddled in Casino Royale, and ultimately gets tricked by an attractive woman. That's the plot of like every single one of the movies. The getting tricked by a femme fatale thing has happened over a dozen times.
Yeah, that's not my complaint. There's a reason why I didn't complain about that. I don't have a problem with the femme fatale. Like, I said Black Cat. What I actually meant was Catwoman. They're the same character, though. It's just one's Marvel, one's DC. But you get the point. Both, you know, anti-hero / antagonists, but not really true villains, right? Who are love interests for the hero. Black Cat and Catwoman are the same character. But anyway, my point is, that's what the role she fills. Isla, that's her fucking name. It's funny, this dude said Cressida and Monroe's name, who are nothing characters who die 4 hours in. But does he say Isla's name? I think he just says the baddie or something, like every time, which is ironic, but whatever.
I don't think that this is the result of forcing politics into video games. It's just true to the source material. If you're gonna blame someone, blame Ian Fleming. This game is just following his example. What that crowd also seems to miss is that in this game, the people lecturing Bond are wrong and Bond is right. So what is this now, a chud game? If the message that's being pushed is that...
Dude, honestly, I don't care. Even if he's right in the end, this isn't like House. If this was like House is like, I'm right all the time, all of you are idiots, here's a random racist comment, also I saved the day. That would be based, okay? That's not what this is. This is like, everyone shits on him the whole fucking time, he ends up being right, and they still don't really give him credit, you know? Like... Like, if this was like House, I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, it is based. But no, it's not chud. It's definitely not chud.
Women and minorities are more competent than men, and white boy over here needs to sit down and shut up. Then...
No, actually, it does kind of feel that way, though, because he gets saved like 5 fucking times.
It isn't working because the entire game, the whole point is that he's right and the desk jockeys are wrong. Bond's Caucasoid gut is correct pretty much the entire time. And
I mean, that's also true, but that's why it feels like it's AI written. Like... It feels like they prompted, you know, like ChatGPT or something with all these parameters for what the generic James Bond story has to be, but also it has to have a certain amount of DEI elements. So that's why I said there's no message, there's no theme. I can't claim in good honesty that the game is about like, sit down white man while the minorities and women show you how it's done, because it's not like that. It's not like that. However, it still has a lot of humiliation, like an insane amount of fucking random humiliation for no reason. So yes, Bond is right in the end. He wins in the end. However, there's still a million other subversive elements at the same time. This is not like a turbo woke game. It's a safe woke game. It's like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. You have what appears to be normal things on the surface. Like Bond, he has sex with women. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. He's right. He's the good guy. But then in the background, there's like a million propagandistic elements if you're just paying attention. Right? So it's like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Everyone who scolds him is shown to be a complacent bureaucrat that gets
diet
people killed.
woke.
Again,
diet
and even
woke.
sells Bond out when he goes to take down the villain at the end of the game. Bond is the only character in the game I would consider to be aspirational to anybody. If anything, I think these nagging characters are there to legitimize Bond's coolness by doubting him and serving as his foil.
The main problem is he's focused on what is considerably the least important part of the game. That is kind of the problem with this review in general. Is this is the same thing I've said about G-Man, Shill Up, fucking Critical Drinkers game reviews, which is still hilarious. He even made those. I don't know if he still does. But what is it with these people? This is a video game. This review 27 minutes long. He talked about gameplay for like, yeah, no fucking way. He talked about gameplay for 2 minutes. Oh, no, okay, no. Okay, supposedly talk about gameplay for 5, but I feel like I've forgotten all those 5. Did he really actually talk about gameplay that entire 5 minutes? Maybe he did. But 5 minutes out of 27 minutes for gameplay, all at the beginning. And from what I recall, all of them were vague comments. Like, he didn't actually delve into any of the mechanical complexity. He just said, like, the most he said was, the shooting is satisfying, the bluffing is good, which is, no, the bluff mechanic is not good. That's baby shit. And actually, the hand-to-hand fighting is more depth than you think, which it does not. It does not, no. So I feel like, yes, he did talk about gameplay for 5 minutes, but it was just vaguely describing what the gameplay is and saying it's better than you think. And then the rest of this was just like, okay, so this was all just story synopsis. There were barely any comments about what's good or bad writing. So half of this review was just reading the Wikipedia page. Legitimately. Like, why even do this? Like, what does this add to the video? You have to at least comment on what you think about the plot points if something's good writing or whatever. He just cracked some unfunny jokes, basically.
He was just a badass off the rip, it wouldn't have the same effect. You gotta give the character something to push against to make him respectable. And again, none of this strikes me as particularly woke. I've seen loads of people bring up the interaction where Cressida makes fun of the poster Monroe wants to put up in their shared apartment.
Now you're here, you can help us settle something. I'll just get
Yeah, this was cringe, but I cut it out of the video just because, like, if you're being... Like, I don't need to include this because it does offer an alternate option. You know what I mean? Like, yes, she's a bitch. She says some openly woke slop shit, but it does give you a choice. And there's worse in the game than this, so I decided to not mention this part.
Monroe. Hey, Monroe. Mind coming to the kitchen?
Coming.
Bond, you'll be the judge. What do you say? This grotesque pastiche of hypermasculine tropes, or this piece masterfully commanding negative space with a quiet intensity?
In other words, the cool picture or the boring one?
This isn't the developers scolding the audience and calling men simple and stupid. This is meant to show that a silver spoon rich bitch has a stick up her ass. The game even
Not really, no. Because they never imply that at any other point. So, no, I don't think that's what the developers meant at all. Like, if they had shown consistently, even though she only has about an hour of screen time, but in that 1 hour of screen time, if they'd consistently shown she was a rich bitch, then you'd have a point, but that's the only time you could even imply that, so I don't agree.
touches on this again when you return to the apartment after Slovakia, and we see that Cressida ultimately loosened up and went to see the very same movie she made fun of with Monroe once they started dating.
I guess opposites really do attract.
If you obsessively...
She went to see a movie with her boyfriend. The peak of character development. This really does feel like a shill review, does it not? What?
You look for ideology everywhere, you're gonna find it. If you're lucky, you may even...
Well, everything is sexist, everything is racist, and we have to point it all out, as an incredibly influential woman once said.
Find enough of it to make a 30-minute long YouTube video. I also see a lot of people saying all the women in this game are intentionally ugly, which I don't think that...
Okay, well, I did not say that, to be clear.
That's true. This is definitely not something like The Outer Worlds, where it looks like everyone has fetal alcohol syndrome. There are plenty of games that I would agree, it does seem like the developers make everyone ugly on purpose, but this isn't one of them. If anything, I'd say that the face scans in general just look kind of weird.
Can this guy tell me what the game did wrong at all, or is he alleging it's a masterpiece? Well, that's what's ironic is in the beginning of the video, he said, like, you can even tell by the title, very clickbaity, they're lying, here's the only honest 007 First Light review. He pretends that this is supposed to be like a modest take. Like, he says it's not the greatest thing ever or whatever, right? But then he glazes the game basically the entire review. Well, I say the entire review, but half the video was just a synopsis of the plot. But anything that's actually the critical part, So story discuss. Okay, you can say I'm nitpicking the fuck out of this, but I'm not. This is not a nitpick. Look at this. 6.5 minutes to 19 minutes is just reading the Wikipedia page of the game's plot. And then he talks about the story for 2 minutes. What? Okay, whatever. Okay.
Weird. But I don't think there is an intentional effort being made to ugly the women.
Yeah, he
in this
did say
game.
it's too
Everyone
short.
seems to forget that these people are British,
That's-
so if anything, this is an embellishment in the opposite direction. The other side is doing the exact same thing in reverse, where they're giving this game 11 out of 10 reviews and acting like it's the second coming of Deus Ex, presumably because they too are schizophrenically reading validation between the lines of what in actuality isn't a particularly subtle or difficult story to understand.
No, it's because you don't understand. If the journalists are all giving it a 10, there's two reasons. One, they're paid off, and two, it appeals to leftist sensibilities. If this was actually chuddy in any way, and I mean any fucking way, all those scores would lose 2 to 3 points immediately. Immediately for the ideological angle. The fact that none of these journalists had a problem with the marine biologist chick's sexuality means that it was safe horny inherently. You know what I mean? You compare the nuclear level seething to like Eve from Stellar Blade to you know, this fucking the random chick. No one was seething about this, and I'm not saying she's unattractive or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, she's not overtly made for the male gaze. That's what I'm saying. If it was made for the male gaze, then every time I say male gaze, I think of male gaze. You know what I mean? Usually that's like what games are made for, the gaze. Anyway. But for men, it's not made for straight men. It's made to be safe sexuality.
The term for what's happening here is critical literacy. This is something that has been pushed.
He's talking about media literacy. That's not a good look, bro. Unless it's ironic.
Particularly in the United States, for quite some time that I was completely unaware of until I started reading up on it the last couple weeks, and I assume this is where the whole media literacy thing comes from as well. This is not a conspiracy theory. You can look this up for yourself. The goals are...
I love how he said source the pinned comment when the pinned comment has now been replaced with him yelling at chuds.
Openly stated by the people pushing for it. Basically, rather than teaching kids how to read and come to their own conclusions, kids are intentionally and exclusively taught how to view things through an ideological lens, which ultimately results in
which is always the leftist one, always in every single institution, I want to point out. If you feel free to disprove me, if you can find any education system that teaches a right-wing critical learning viewpoint, then I'll concede. Every single time it is the left-wing one, which is why every single time you have to be very sensitive to this propaganda shit, because it's so easy to ignore if you're a fucking soulless golem, but if you're a noticer, it's diarrhea, man, like visual diarrhea.
Only knowing how to react to certain words without understanding what anything actually means or is trying to say. Both sides are interpreting this game solely through the lens of ideology, which means that...
And again, only the left-wing one was taught in school. The right-wing one is a direct result of every single fucking game being propaganda. So, does that mean they're always right? Maybe not. I remember recently, this was with Soros, someone lied and said that the Indian guy's wife cheats with the black woman on the crew. That was not true, but the wife does cheat on you with a different woman that you never meet in the game, who's like, I don't know, she's dead. Like, she's dead before the game starts, because the space crew that went to this planet, the King in Yellow planet or whatever, that was the first crew that your wife went on, and your crew is the fourth crew. So yes, the Indian's wife cheats on him, but not with the black woman. So it's like, even though there's a partial lie, the whole point is it's still woke slop garbage. Your wife does become a lesbian, which is why I titled the video that a game is so mid your wife becomes a lesbian.
The game is either the best game released in years, or it is an intentional insult to the intelligence of the player and a vector for subversive propaganda, when really it's just a slightly above average AAA game. I think a bit of it is the fact that it's a lot harder to get views on a video or likes on a tweet that says something super non-salacious like,
Okay, I want to point out this is literally our Redditor's talk, what he's saying right now. There's no nuance. There's no nuance in discussion online anymore. Yeah, because it's almost like no media is made for intelligent people, period. Which I'm not even going to say making media for smart people would make better media. A lot of my favorite games could be enjoyed by a complete retard. What's important to me is that games are fun. They don't have to be smart, right? But games are not made for intelligent people, so, and most media is not in general. So, of course, what do you expect? Like, who cares about nuance in terms of, we're talking about political propaganda being shoved into media? Like, all that matters is it there or not, right? That's what matters to me. That's what woke means. Is there fucking progressive ideology in the game, yes or no?
The game everyone is talking about right now is just okay. Not exactly good for the click-through rate there. The internet runs on a grifter-based economy nowadays, and don't you forget it. People are rewarded with attention for saying something galvanizing to an extreme that gets you to click. There's way less.
It's also, but here's the thing though. Like, it depends on what your definition of grifter is. I agree, actually. I don't disagree on this point at all. Like, you could say some of my based slop is even grifter tier in the sense that it's not that I'm lying to you. So it's not grifter by definition, because I always just share what my opinion is. But I will sometimes exaggerate what I believe for a title, and that could be clickbaity. But the grift, like the angle of I'm here to make money. Like, if you say anyone who is making like content is there to make that content for money, to make as much money as possible, get as many clicks, then yeah, sure, of course it's a grifter-based economy. But that definition of grifter, where it's just, I want my business to do well, is completely fucking useless. That doesn't help anybody. When we're talking about grifter, we're talking about people who don't even believe in the bullshit they're sputtering out of their mouth. That's when I talk about the anti-woke people. They don't actually care if anything's woke. They just say what they think their audience wants to hear. Me, I'm always just going to give you my opinion, even if people disagree with me. There's been quite a few times that people have disagreed with my opinion on a video game. I'm still going to give you my opinion, period. That's what makes me not a grifter. I believe all the far right shit I say. I believe all the gaming opinions I put in my videos. But yes, I have made clickbaity content, and I will continue to try and figure out the best way to get people to click on my content, because that's my job. So again, this definition of grifter is stupid. That's not a good one.
Less money to be made being reasonable. The truth is, this game's far from being the best thing I've ever played. But it also isn't severely offensive to the senses, which puts it ahead of a lot of the other trash that people celebrate. All in all, I'd give it...
No. No. This game is like everything wrong with movie game slop. Absolutely not. This is not ahead of anything. It's barely a video game.
It's something like a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10, with 5 representing average.
Okay, so this is a proof that 5 is average, guys. He just gave this game a 6.5 out of 10. This is significantly above average by the 5 is average crowd. Are you fucking out of your mind? Not only is this below average, it's painful. It's fucking... I give it, what, 3.5? I negotiated with chat. We had a chat negotiation. We settled on 3.5. This is a 3.5 out of 10. There's no fucking universe where this is above average.
It's not life-changing, genre-defining, or really innovative in any particular way, but it definitely held my attention and I enjoyed it. I think it's a good sign that one of my primary criticisms of the game...
I know. The funny thing about 5 is average is I don't really... The only thing I disagree with is why 5 is average. You know what I mean? Like, I think gaming actually has gotten to the point where 5 is pretty close to average. You know what I mean? And that's not a good thing, though. When people say 5 is average, like the midwits say 5 is average because it's the middle of the scale. I say 5 is average is because games have gotten so goddamn bad that they're lucky if they can produce the most bland slop humanly imaginable where it's not even consumable. On a technical level, it's not dog shit. Like, it's not a 1 out of 10. Like, on a technical level, it's completely serviceable, which is what a 5 out of 10 would be. Now, when you guys say 5 out of 10, you're like, it's like an average movie. I could rent that on deep sale. When I think of average, like a 2.5 stars out of 5 for like a movie. I think, oh, I guess if I'm drunk and I'm chilling with my boys, I'll watch a 90-minute movie. When I think of 5 out of 10 is average for a game, I think of rancid dog shit, dude. Disgusting.
Realistically, the game's gonna be worth the $70 to you if you enjoy this sort of thing. But
no, well, okay. If you are one of the 5 people who it's way more than 5 people. I wish it wasn't. If you are one of the extreme normies who likes interactive movies and not video games, I still would say buy it on sale. Like, not 70. How is this worth 70? Like, buy half. If you don't like video games, if you like movies, get it half off. That's the best I could say. There's no universe where this is worth 70. No way.
you'd probably be able to tell that from watching the trailer or by the fact that it has 007 in the title. Otherwise, just watch it on YouTube and wait for the sequel. Hot take here. James Bond.
Yeah, watch it. Wait, hold on. Did he unironically say watch on YouTube and wait for the sequel? Isn't that proof you shouldn't fucking buy this?
Player mode like the one in Splinter Cell. Realistically, the game's gonna be worth the $70 to you if you enjoy this sort of thing. But you'd probably be able to tell that from watching the trailer or by the fact that it has 007 in the title. Otherwise, just watch it on YouTube and wait for the sequel. Hot take.
If you can unironically argue with anyone that it's worth just watching as a movie on YouTube, that's proof it's not a video game and no one should play it. If you can watch full cutscene movie on YouTube and get the whole experience, it's not a video game.
Here, James Bond is just Harry Potter for kids who are into science and history instead of theater and art. British, orphan, cool face scar, access to cool powers other people don't have, villains that constantly address them by name, originally a set of books that was adapted in...
That's the worst thing I've ever heard. Yeah, one is for women and the other's for, well, women and soy boys, and the other is for men. There you go. Big difference between Harry Potter and 007. Anyway, let's read more comments. I already read a few of the comments. If you missed it earlier, I already read his pinned comment, but we'll read some more comments. Yeah, I'll sort by newest in a little bit.
Yeah, boy.
Did you honestly expect it to be good? Didn't you watch the trailer and preview? What do you say?
Admit, I have to say that the discussion around 007 First Light is some of the most dishonest stuff I have seen on the internet in, well...
I'm not sure what that connected to. Let's see. I can't agree with this review. Yeah, I already read this one. You're a shameless shill. Elvid, this is beyond just being mid. This is a glorified movie, which isn't a good thing. The Hitman sections are all fake, linear hallways that pretend to have depth by letting you cheese everything with the dart phone and laser watch. Yep, absolutely true. I wonder if you watched my review, because that's absolutely what I said. It's very accurate. Like, it's just fucking, I don't know, it's pointless, man. Satisfying gunplay, really stanky as hell. Yeah, I don't know why he said this either. It's probably the least egregious argument about the gameplay, but yeah, I don't know. It's okay. I love it when Bond gets into a tough situation in the game and his sorry ass gets rescued by someone else every time. Nothing subversive. Yeah, what does he say in response to this? Because this is just a fact. He gets saved 4 or 5 times. The Overton window is shifted to such a degree that unless the game is Veilguard levels of pandering, most people defend it. Absolutely true. Literally, the very first mission, he saves everyone single-handedly, despite what those who supposedly know better say. Oh boy, just the first mission. Is that the only mission you played? No! This doesn't disprove the point that every time he gets captured, he gets saved. This dude is throwing away his reputation. What does him saving others have to do with getting himself out of a trap? Those are 2 different arguments. Also, no, he doesn't. Yeah, get fucked. I mean, seriously, we're not even talking about the same thing. He's just seething. That's plot contrivance. You'll hate movies from 60s to modern day every time, though. The sheer mental gymnastics that display here, yep. Great, but I would not say the only honest review is SyntheticMan. Also did a good one. Well, if you watch this review, you would know that mine disagrees with his in almost every way. But I guess I appreciate it. Claims that the other reviewers are lying to you. Look inside. An entire lie of a review. Thank you, green text, man. Don't believe your lying eyes level review. Well, he didn't do himself... The problem with this, right? Like, my personal feelings aside, the biggest problem with this review is that it's not really a review. And that's why people are saying he's sold out. Because, like, really, out of the 27 minutes, less than half of it is actually critiquing the game. Half of it is literally just telling us the story, plot point by plot point, and not even how he feels about it. The gameplay just kind of vaguely says what the gameplay is without going into detail. So, I mean, what am I supposed to take away from this? Like, there just wasn't really any arguments made in favor or even really against the game. So it does feel like marketing. The plot didn't feel like some sort of deconstruction or subversion of Bond. Did we play the same game? I mean, sure, it's not smashing your head into a brick wall with its intent, but it's still pretty heavy-handed. Ask yourself, why is it that this game is a prequel, not simply set in a more established period of Bond's career? The answer is simple, is to recontextualize the character. This isn't James Bond. This is some random Air Force grunt who gets accidentally pulled into a half-baked espionage story about topical AI issues, conveniently populated by corporate-approved progressive diversity. That last bit will obviously be contentious to some, since as soon as ideologically driven race-based tokenism and replacement comes up, people start getting nervous. Yeah, absolutely. This is where the centrists, you lose the centrists immediately as soon as you start talking about race stuff. However, it needs to be looked at and assessed in the context of both the game itself as well as within trends present in wider entertainment culture. Again, remember the purpose of the game being a prequel is to recontextualize character Bond. And IOI admitted this, by the way. They literally said, I think it was last year, they said Bond is going to be modernized because he can't be, you know, a womanizer, sexist type. When assessing creative works, you have to assume some level of intentionality in just about everything, especially that which is explicitly front and center. It's not a coincidence that the previous 007 and mentor figure is black, or that the source of the shaken, not stirred line is made to come from some random girl boss on a boat, or even that a woman was shown competing in a grand... Yeah, he never mentioned the chess game. I wonder if he even noticed. Yeah, the Grandmaster final for chess. Yeah, you know, this is the type of shit where, like, that's why I said, the point I was making earlier when I said, yes, I have factual inaccuracies in my review, and I forget plot points sometimes, things like that, right? I'm not necessarily defending that I make mistakes, though occasionally it's intentional, like with not using, what was it? Cressida and Monroe's name, because, I mean, they're not characters, they're plot devices. They don't deserve names. But I do point out things like this because this is important. This is the type of shit, like, it's literally part of the set piece of the level, that there's the Grandmaster final chess game, and a woman is one of the is possibly the greatest chess player. These are intentional decisions that fall in line with broader trends in media, which have been aggressively pushed by ideologues over the last few years. I can understand the desire to try and remain grounded, impartial, and free from paranoia. However, that desire doesn't change the actions, byproducts, and express intent of these sorts of ideological actors, especially not when there's over a decade of explicit examples to pull from. As unpleasant as it is, we're heading into a period of normalization in which these ideologues haven't been pushed back, but rather they've entered into a period of negotiations to see what they can get away with while they bide their time for the next big push. Objectively correct. Great analysis. Good shit. Conveniently points that he didn't mention the video lol, never attribute to malice. That which is adequately explained by stupidity always loses against social programming, since this mindset doesn't offer any actual resistance. Yeah. Yeah, we're past the point of enlightened centrists. Like, you can huff your own farts if you want, but, I mean, don't pretend that you're more intelligent than anyone else. Lying implies that the people commenting on this game do not truly believe what they say. You would be surprised, man. Yeah, especially with me. I absolutely believe it. Anyhow, the game is nowhere close to Ian Fleming's James Bond, mirroring modern depictions of him instead, and should have been its own IP. GoldenEye is more faithful than this modernized movie disguised as a game. Won't call out the DEI race swaps, insists the game isn't woke. Won't call big noses out. Accuses the right of being just as bad as left. Yeah, he's basically safe, edgy, synthetic man. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm loving the name drops. Appreciate it. It's good to see me name dropped on another channel and it's not shitting on me. Almost every time I read my name mentioned on another YouTube channel, it's people shitting on me. Alright, well, we can sort by newest, since I'm sure some of you guys type comments since. Holy fuck. The comment counter went up by like 70 since I started watching this. This review is just like the game. 20% review / gameplay, 80% filler. Yep. The fact you found it appropriate to recommend just watching it on YouTube negates all of your defensive claims, GG. That's what I'm saying. Oh, well, you probably wrote this because I said it. But maybe you noticed too. But the point is, like, if you can even jokingly suggest to someone to just watch it on YouTube, then it's a bad video game. Maybe you could argue it's a good movie. I don't think it is. But you can't argue it's a good video game if you could just watch it. Why are you gay? You're like Seth, but not entertaining. This game is so based and correct. Chuds can get mad. Chad Jew 2999. How many zeros on that paycheck, Pete? This game is Jewish. 5 out of 10 is average. It's the only correct part of the video. This is why you guys want me to sort by new. You just want me to read your garbage. Yeah, there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them. Why are women never talked back to? Why are women never insulted? Why are women never told to shut the fuck up? Why is women's nonsense never called out? All true, all true. This game is a 3 or a 4 at best. It's a movie game. The overwhelming majority is cutscenes, shitty quick-time events, and talking/driving segments with no freedom. First 4 hours are incredibly fucking boring. And second, the game is woke. M is gender and race swapped. Q is queer, ironically. Money Penny is race swapped and not even hot. Everything is so diverse, even Slovakia. The doctors at the beginning are mostly browns and blacks. In the tournament, there is a man versus a woman, which is very unrealistic and was a deliberate choice. The villains are not diverse and only white. Weird, huh? And Bond doesn't feel nor seem badass. The story itself at its core is simplistic and not subversive or anything, but the game as a whole is. Bond is put through a humiliation ritual, and in the clip you showed us, not the same and not humiliation. He can't save himself. In the first 4 movies, he's saved by luck or someone else 24% of the time, and yes, I did the math. Yeah, this would probably be the counter argument where it's like, did you even watch the movies? And then they'll just like show random scenes of him being saved by someone else. It's like, there's nothing wrong with the hero getting saved by like the co-star occasionally, but it literally happens in this game like 4 or 5 times. He doesn't boss around women, quite the opposite, and he isn't a masculine character. One last thing are the incredibly cringe cameos that just ruin the atmosphere. They're not funny. Yeah, it's weird. He didn't ever mention the YouTube cameos either, which I guess you could argue is not important to the game, but at the same time, the video's 27 minutes and doesn't really say anything, so you might as well just say some shit. You know what I mean? Like, once you get to the past 20-minute mark for a video, I think you might as well just like start diving in. You know, just dive in. Centrist behavior like this will result in more safe woke slop in the future. Is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 all over again? How much have you been paid? This game wasn't good. Stunning, yes, but gameplay was clunky. Fighting, driving, overall experience was too rigid and inconsistent. Nostalgic in ways and stunning graphics, but that doesn't make this a good game. Claims that other reviews liked. Yeah, okay, I read that already. Okay. Yeah. Good to see the backlash. Again, my prediction as to what happened here is not that he got paid off or anything. The prediction is he didn't realize he was starting to foster an audience of chuds, which I'm sure I assisted with that, and he was enlightened centrist. And it sounds like he doesn't have very good taste in video games because he made a bunch of fucking excuses for a game that's 80% movie. At the end of the day, even if you didn't, you know, if you ignored every single woke element of this game, it's not a good game. It is an interactive movie. None of its systems have any depth at all. Remind me of a G-Man or Skill Up review where it's just lies and not even substantiated lies, you know? Because he doesn't really delve into the combat